Serious. What's your deepest fear? Attention. Serious. Tag notice. Jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment, parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. My grandmother died at age 98 in June. She was in tip-top shape mentally, but the last 2 years her physical health was going downhill. Of course, her residence had to close to visitors last year because of COVID, and she was horribly lonely even with daily phone calls. Watching her body start to give out, knowing she would rather die than go into assisted living was like being stuck in a nightmare. She did indeed choose to die rather than go into assisted living, given she had a perforated colon and could no longer stand or walk unaided. I am at peace with that. I'm sorry, but as a geriatric nurse, this was really shitty of your guardians, parents to do to you. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I do this as a living. It's not easy, it's not pleasant, and I know how emotionally exhausting it is when the person you are taking care of is your own family. None of this should have been done by a child. Ignoring the safety issues of letting a child care for a senior in need of care. No, I agree. It took me years to realize that was a messed up situation. My grandmother didn't want to put my great-grandmother in a home, which I understand. I've worked with dementia and Alzheimer's, and the only way I can make myself feel better about the possibility of getting it is, after it gets so bad they don't know they're crazy. Yes, it's suffering, but sometimes every 10 minutes seems like a new day to them, or sometimes I don't think they have any grip on reality. It's a sad existence, but I'd rather be senile and not be able to take care of myself than be aware and unable to take care of myself. I'd rather just be unaware if it has to be that way. Not saying that they have it better off, but it seems more depressing to know you rely on someone for everything. Had a girl I was head over heels for, moved across the country together. Not long after that she fell out of love and started seeing someone else on the side. It hurt more than anything I've ever dealt with, but the amount of learning, growth, and progress that came after made it all worth it. I'm 100% the man I am today because of that experience. In short, I hope it never happens to you, but if it does, don't be a bitch about it. You can look at my history for this story, but I'll repeat it here because this is also a big fear of mine and it is backed up by a very close call. Story begins on a sunny afternoon in Florida. We were visiting my in-laws. My wife gets the kids ready for the pool and unlocks the back door when the doorbell in the front rings. The kids run to the front door and my wife goes as well. We greet a family member who has come to visit. While we are welcoming our guests, my alarm bells start going off in my head. I can't explain it other than the silence in the house suddenly kicked off the hypervigilance sector of my brain. The next 30 seconds are burned into my brain in snapshots. I said, "Where are the kids?" Then I noticed the door to the pool, outside, open. I ran. I can't remember how long it took me to cover the width of the living room, but as I emerged into the pool area there was my 1.5-year-old sitting on the edge of the pool watching her brother, 3 years old, in the pool, face just below the surface. He was trying to reach his face to the surface. The picture of drowning. Luckily, it was early. I jumped in and pulled him out. He was fine. No water was inhaled. He was scared but fine and enjoying the pool. Minutes later, my wife had to leave to go be alone and have the extreme emotional reaction that she needed to have. I was strong until later that night. I had a shower and wept like a baby. The thought that keeps me up some nights is what if I hadn't noticed, and shame and guilt wash over me for letting that happen. It was so quick. But I should have been better than that. I do not fear death nearly as much as I fear a life where I let harm come to my children. Similar story, my wife and I went to the beach with our newborn son, and then 3-year-old daughter. The beach was super busy, like packed. My wife and I were just putting our stuff down when she noticed a better spot a bit closer to the water. I grabbed a couple items and marched over while she collected the towels off the sand. At this point she told her daughter to go to me. A few seconds must have gone by, and then I asked my wife where our daughter was. She looked around and was like, "I sent her to you." Instant wash of fear and adrenaline kicks in. I can feel the panic like a vice. My basic instincts kick in and I started calling out my daughter's name and scanning the crowd for her or the color I thought her swimsuit was. Nothing. My wife starts nervously asking people in our area if they've seen a girl by my daughter's description. 2 minutes go by. A couple women get up and started inquiring and asking. A boy about 11 years old hears the conversations and starts out canvassing the beach and calling her name. I do the same. I'm now becoming furious and deadly concerned with my daughter. Crazy thoughts start flooding into my head. What if someone's taken her? What would her existence look like? What if we never find her? Is she afraid right now? 5 minutes have gone by. I'm now running at full speed doing a 200-yard radius around the top of the beach near a playground area and yelling her name at the top of my lungs. I'm about to call the police to shut down the roads that lead to the beach. I decide to sprint back to where I last saw my wife. I hear someone call out from near the water that they found her. She's okay. She's a little shaken up, but she's fine. Evidently, with the beach being so busy, she just walked right past me and kept going until she became confused. She walked all the way down the beach until she came to the pier about 300 yards away, and started crying, and sat on the cement leading to the dock. I think about this event about once a month. No one should ever mess with my children. If they do, I'll make Liam Neeson look like Leslie Nielsen. So, this is one of my biggest fears, being helpless to help those that put their trust in me. Something bad happening to my family. We've been lucky where everyone in my family has died of old age or from a health issue at an advanced age. No serious accidents or injuries. My worst nightmare recently came true and it was as awful as it could get. My son and his family were hit by a drunk driver, critically injured my oldest grandchild. She's doing well considering her injuries, although it's a miracle she's with us at all, and her newborn baby sister didn't make it. I wish I could rewind time and somehow prevent it. There are no words to describe just how awful it is to get the call from your child, who is full on sobbing, and hearing the words that totally shatter the charmed bubble you think you live in. Hug your loved ones every single time you see them. Being alone. I'm already somewhat alone. I have family around but once my mom passes I know I'm going to be alone absolutely, and that terrifies me. I wish I could speak to people and form proper relationships, but it is beyond me. I just want someone to love and be with, but finding someone is next to impossible for me. I have mental health problems, social anxiety and depression, so even if I did find someone, how long would it be before they got tired of me and I'd be left alone again? I'd love to have a family and be able to support them with everything they wanted to do, but I can't even support myself, let alone a family or someone I can love. Yeah, that's the primary issue. TBF, I can't open up and I'm pretty weak when it comes to social interaction and tend to hide from it. I don't keep going, I crumble mentally, then it takes me months to even get back into mental state where I'll try to even talk to family. I break, that's it, just I can't do it. I've tried for years and every time I come out worse for trying. Due to mental health problems, TBH, I don't even remember a lot of my life, it's a blur. I'm just trying to make it to the starting line right now. Baby steps before you can walk. Getting old and being diagnosed with dementia. The thought of just forgetting everything in the world, including your family and friends, and slowly lose your mind and just die without remembering anything is just terrifying to me. I don't have many friends or family members, so the ones I have I cherish a lot. Also, everything at the end of time helped build that fear. If you don't know what that is, it's basically the song version of what dementia patients go through. I don't recommend listening to it if you're not a strong mindset right now. If you are, then I would say go for it, but it's really sad. This may sound dumb, but I will continue. My deepest fear is losing consistently. Just imagine the efforts you made just to win. You did your very best just to win, but in the end, you still lost. The frustration is there, more than tough if you ask me, more like demotivated to continue because you lost not once, not twice, but many times in a row. Accepting defeat could be hard for me sometimes, that I give my very best just to win. It frustrates me to the point that I don't want to play anymore. I am really fucking terrified of black holes, not just being sucked in and experiencing spaghettification, but also one dashing through our solar system, changing orbits, therefore smashing planets into one another, or even eating Earth into the cold nothingness. And I know this scenario is really unlikely, as the nearest black hole is 1,000 light-years away and static, but you never know for sure, even if one was headed our way. What would we do? They are invisible, so we would not be able to even notice. It would probably move with a speed way faster than the one of sound, so we would not have the time to react regarding one's invisibility. But at the end of the day, humanity would still be hopeless, so it is an inevitable death anyway. It scares me the most because of how there's nothing we possibly can do to avoid it or even predict it. Black hole as small as a volleyball can destroy our planet in no time, leaving nothing behind, and the thought of it really creeps me out. I think that my biggest fear would be the fact that I handled some situations with some bad people that I've handled poorly coming back to bite me in the ass. Now, while the people in question were clearly in the wrong, I've reacted to their behavior in a way that would make me look pretty bad if I ever end up as a public figure, like musicians who go places tend to do. They would have the motive and the means to take what I've said and done in the past out of context and bring it to the public. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own lights shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Being homeless. I'm F63, in a good place financially now, but from the time I got married for the first time, age 18, until my late 50s, I was one broken leg or month of unemployment away from homelessness. It's like the years of low income have been etched on my soul. My husband, married 2.5 years, doesn't get why I feel more secure when I have a couple months' worth of food on hand for just in case, or how hard it was for me to sell the only house I'd ever bought, paid in cash so I didn't owe money on it. Having that house made me feel like I'd always have a roof over my head no matter what. Death. I was raised evangelical but lost my faith in college, finally admitting it to myself after my mom died of cancer. Really, I think any rational person should be terrified of death and envy those who have faith. I sincerely wish I could believe and have looked into practically every religion, as obscure as Manichaeism and Zoroastrianism. Also, fucking terrified of bears. Like, I know so long as you follow basic rules you're pretty safe, but the chance of a bear attack ruins camping for me. I've got to be honest, I hate the ocean, or at least what's in the ocean. The moment you can't see what's below you is absolutely terrifying. The fact that we still haven't discovered most of the ocean is terrifying. but most of all the creatures. I hate almost any sea creature, especially whales, mainly because of the thought that you could become a meal without the whale even noticing you. Regardless of whether it's common or not, it's still horrifying to me. Don't even get me started on the creatures of the deep though. I have two fears. I was maybe 8, lived in Albert Lea, Minnesota. My parents weren't wealthy, so we rented a house, a 2-story house with an unfinished basement. It was really dark and the basement had about 2 lights and just overall creepy. One night while asleep I suddenly woke up at around 5 a.m. I'm not sure the exact time, but I heard someone who sounded like my mom calling my name from the basement. I started calling out to her with no response. I was scared of the basement, so I didn't go downstairs and instead went back to sleep. In the morning I asked her if she called out to me. She said no, and I might have just been having a nightmare. This kept going on for over a month, but every night the call-outs kept getting louder, and as if more people were calling my name. After 2 months everything just stopped. I've never been able to figure out what happened. I kept complaining and my parents made me sleep in their room until it finally went away. I'm scared of hearing this again. The second one is a deep sleep. Once at my grandma's house I had a dream unlike anything I've experienced before. I was perpetually falling through squares until hitting a bed and waking up, except that I didn't wake up in real life, but I woke up in a dream. Every time I died I kept waking up in another dream. It was the most extreme nightmare I've ever experienced. Being abandoned, like if something happened to my family, my sister, my parents, etc. What if they all just vanished? No wife, no kids, nothing, all on my own, hunting alone, fending for myself, forever. Even worse of a thought is that in that situation, what if I die a failure, not doing it the things I wanted to do, the things I wanted to accomplish, and everything just ended with one slip-up? The thought of that and the fact that that has happened to others just gives me the chills. Hospitals. I get a full-on panic attack and hyperventilate in just doctors' offices, and I have to be physically restrained in hospitals. I have always been terrified of them, but I had a surgery last year which made it so much worse. I was freaking out enough already, and being strapped down on a table, and seeing a mask being put onto my face like Darth Vader, and then immediately losing consciousness was awful. I woke up in a completely different place, and didn't know where or why I was there at first, and I was high as F on anesthesia. It has gotten to the point where I freak out when I so much as see the word death. Once I'm gone, my beautiful little son, the light of my life, who happens to have a disability, will be alone forever. We have no family, we have no social network, no friends. No one wants to have anything to do with the little disabled kid who gets teased and bullied and ostracized by society because he is different. Once I'm gone, it's just him, totally alone in a world that mocks and abuses people because they're different, and that kills me inside a little more, day after day. So that's my greatest fear. Losing control of myself, even more so, losing control of myself and hurting someone I love in the process. It's why I never touch alcohol or drugs I haven't been prescribed, and part of why I dread starting new medications, in case of bad side effects. But I'm autistic, and if anyone's not familiar with autistic meltdowns, they, for me, at least, basically felt like my entire body was glitching and out of control. I would move my bodies in ways I didn't want to, say things while at the same time thinking, don't say that, why are you saying that, stop, and lash out physically at people who got too close. In those moments, I did occasionally physically hurt the people I love, and it still kills me to think about that, even if I was a little kid struggling with a diagnosis I didn't have, let alone understand. I think that's why I'm so scared of losing control now. Hard to explain, but it's like, if I ever become a husband and father, I don't want to become one of those domestic abusers' dads, who are always like, this is my house, So I do what I want to. I want to be a good person for my wife and kids. My father was the reason I saw why being a good dad and husband is so important, because if you're a bad one, you ruin the other person's life. As a kid I've already shown signs of this bad stuff, and I'm so scared that I'll take this into my family. Every day I try to do better so I won't be one of those shit dads, husbands.